Up next, Vince McMahon versus no one? Because after Vince purchased WCW, all he had left was a football league, a private jet, and zero competition.
Vince does an interview with the Atlanta newspaper, and he talks about the state of the industry. And he says, professional wrestling isn't flying high through pop culture as it was during the late 90s. We're certainly not at our peak at the moment. Our business has always been one of ebb and flow, but not unlike any other entertainment business. When you look at the movie business, sometimes the studio have really good product and sometimes they don't. The same could be said for the arena business. It's been down across the board, from concerts to family entertainment. So it becomes more competitive, and we're in competition with ourselves, whether it's other pay-per-view offerings or video games or things of that nature. We're in all of those platforms. And when you ask someone to bring their family, pay for parking, a hot dog, or a t-shirt, you're really talking about a lot of money. And we have to make certain that if someone goes that far and commits to the product, that they get their money's worth and then some. And it's not always an easy thing to do. I've always been fascinated when Vince talks about business when it's down, because we're all very familiar with the Mr. McMahon character and the bravado of, you know, I held the fate of that company in my hands. And so sort of the Mr. McMahon, the conqueror persona, juxtaposed to, well, business isn't as great as it once was. The businessman. Talk to us a little bit about what you think his finger on the pulse of the future of WWE was in early 05 here.
Well, look, he's always got his finger on the pulse, and he's always looking several years down the road. So to be able to look and say, okay, here's where we are, and this is the ride. Here's the ride we're going to take, and look to the future. They're asking him to speak on today, and he's speaking on today and speaking on the past. But in Vince's head, he's always so far beyond it that when, you know, little things come up like a dip in business that sidetracks him, that gets to be very frustrating, because you can't look at what are we going to do in 2010 here at this point. And that's where his head was.
You know, one of the things that has often been discussed is, it's because, you know, WWE doesn't have competition. They were at their best when they had competition. And in the same interview with the Atlanta newspaper, he would write, in some ways, I miss our great rivalry. We were both burning the candle at both ends, and it was a question of whose candle was going to burn out first. Because it was such an intense rivalry, both sets of talent were overexposed and overworked. At that pace, of course, someone's going to burn out. We couldn't really have a meeting of the minds. I couldn't have just called Ted and said, hey, let's slow down and both live for a while. That's antitrust, and you can't do that. Our country isn't based on that. It's based on competition. And there certainly was no goal by our company to be the sole survivor at this level of the business today. It just happened that way. As such, by being the only game in town, so to speak, it creates an awesome responsibility for us now. Now he's saying all of this while, you know, TNA is landing a deal with Fox Sports Net and is hopeful on landing a national television show. We know that's going to happen. That's definitely coming. Do you think Vince was not as, did Vince lose a step creatively? Was he less motivated without competition? It does feel like Vince is, you know, if you guys were both going to not necessarily carpool somewhere, you're going to caravan somewhere, you're in your car and he's in his car, he's going to fucking get wherever y'all are going first, right?
Absolutely.
He's just competitive by nature. And so I wonder, you know, does that sort of, when that goes dormant, does that part of his competitive nature and the creative juices that maybe come through that just go away?
No, he finds ways to compete with himself, and he finds ways to just look at what they've accomplished and go, okay, we need to beat that. So no, he'll always find ways to, maybe it's not Ted Turner, maybe now it's Paramount or Universal, and I've got to beat them. And he's always going to have something. He's always going to have a goal, and he's always going to have something to overcome, no matter what it is, or to invent, take to the next level.
Maybe.
Just who he is.
It was in the book, The Long Bomb, and it was reported that Vince tried to buy the Minnesota Vikings, and then he tried to buy the Washington Redskins. Do you remember there ever being a conversation? Because at some point, Vince had a real hard on for this, and he starts to inquire about buying a team. The CFL tries to sell him a team. He wants to buy the whole fucking league. They say no. So then he starts the XFL. But somewhere in there, there's at least preliminary conversations about Vince buying the Vikings, which I find fascinating, and the Washington Redskins.
There was interest there. Yeah. Whenever a team would start to send feelers out, they would, they have that rich guy feeler system that they send out feelers to rich people that own
rich guy stuff.
Well, you probably get a lot of that. And there was some interest. There was some talk back and forth and stuff.
Rich guy stuff in Huntsville, Alabama is like investing in a barbecue restaurant. It's not buying the Washington Redskins. It's a different level, kind sir.
Well,
So let's kind of talk about how this harebrained idea comes about. You saw in the documentary that NBC is losing the NFL. They've made a business decision that for the ask that the NFL has, they're going to lose money if they proceed. So they just bow out. So they need content, and they love professional football because of what the NFL has brought them. But they're trying to run a business and keep it in the black. And the 2000 Olympics from Sydney, Australia do them no favors because there's a 15-hour time difference. So it has the lowest rating since 1968. They lose a ton of money, and they offer to make good ads. And they, on top of all that, they lose the NFL. So NBC is getting hammered. You've got big shows like Survivor trying to compete with a flagship show, Friends, and they're going head to head with NBC. So they're looking for stuff. And Dick, who is, as you saw in the show, one of the founders of Saturday Night Live and the guy who worked with Vince to put together Saturday Night's Main Event, hears that Vince is doing press conferences about the XFL. Now, before we talk about whose idea that first was, they didn't talk about it too much here, but the original plan was for it to be on UPN, which was the home of SmackDown at the time. Is that the way you remember it?
Yeah, it was originally, we kind of felt that we didn't have a deal, but there were initial talks with UPN and Spike TV. It's all owned by Viacom and CBS.
And there was a thirst at the time. There's a lot now, but this is when it was really becoming super hot for reality television. And it was probably one of the really first popular shows was on MTV. It was Real World, Road Rules, shit like that. But now it's on mainstream. And so Survivor is smashing, and other shows like that are doing big numbers. So Vince has an idea to make professional football more of a reality show, and so much of that worked, but some of it didn't work, and that's what we'll get into. One of the misconceptions, though, Bruce, that I don't think a lot of people really knew is that the XFL is not like an abbreviation. It's not the Extreme Football League. They never said that. It was just XFL.
The Extra Fun League.
How fucking dumb is that? I mean, do you feel dumber when you say it? Because you have a huge shit-eating grin when you say that.
No, it was, it had absolutely zero meaning. It was just the XFL.
Is it like?
I love it.
Now, let me ask you this:
Extra fucked up league, extra fornicating league. Extreme fornicating lady. God damn, pal.
We talked about the X title on the TNA show, and you got half hot about it because you said, what does it mean? Nobody can tell me what it means. It doesn't fucking mean anything. And now here you're fine with it being
division. Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. Silliest goddamn thing I ever heard in my life. The X Division, yeah. Silliest goddamn thing I've ever heard in my life.
Sillier than the XFL.
Oh, God, yes.
This is amazing.
At least the XFL had a black and red football.
This logic. It's logic. Oh my gosh. So how does this originally, we've heard the whole Carl DeMarco story, and I want you to kind of set the record straight. How involved was Carl DeMarco in the creation of the XFL? Carl DeMarco, for those of you who don't know, was the president of WWF Canada. Do I have that title right?
Yeah, Carl was the president of Canada.
I said WWF Canada.
Bison Head. Yeah, Bison Head.
Why do you call him Bison Head?
Actually, Jim Cornette nicknamed him Bison Head. Goddamn fucking Bison Head, motherfucker.
What is it about?
Fuck, I'm never coming to your goddamn country again anyway. Fuck you. Put horns on that son of a bitch. Put him in Idaho. They'll kill him. Make beef jerky out of that fucking motherfucker. Gigantor head.
What was Carl DeMarco's involvement in the XFL?
Nothing. I think Carl simply brought the CFL opportunity to Vince.
And when that didn't work out, Vince had a bug then that he wanted to do football.
God damn it, I'll own my own league.
And so he holds a press conference, and you guys did a great job designing the logo. I assume that was a WWE person who made the logo?
I guess, man. Here's the thing. When Vince started talking football and started talking about all this shit, I ran. I tried to get as far away from those meetings as I could get. Because, man, I lived through the WBF. I lived through Ica Pro and some of that other shit. I'm hearing about goddamn football and XFL and off season and during wrestling and trying to do this during WrestleMania season. And I ran. I played football in high school. I watch it occasionally on TV. I didn't ask, where the hell's my football at the end of the Super Bowl? I watched the Super Bowl for the commercials and went, hey, that was a cool Dorito commercial. So I didn't have that same passion. I didn't care.
Well, because you don't like football.
I like football. I don't live and die by football.
I took you to an Alabama game, and you celebrated and yelled home run when they scored a touchdown.
And I did that rolling thunder thing. Roll Tides. Remember I had the pom pom and I did it when they scored the touchdown or the base hit thing. Remember that guy hit the home run or caught the home run or whatever he did.
Well, you know.
Meltzer
Meltzer said
he threw that field goal.
You just rattled off WBF and blah blah blah. Meltzer had a quote this last week that I really enjoyed, and I want to get your take on it. Quote, Vince is the best wrestling promoter there's ever been, but Vince's track record outside of wrestling is actually the shits.
Okay.
Agree? Disagree?
I think that Vince does a lot better in the wrestling world, in that bubble, yeah. So Vince does great in the entertainment world. I will say that. I'm not just going to put him to wrestling because he does do well in entertainment and has broadened the scope of wrestling. So when he deviates from the sports wrestling entertainment, yeah, okay.
Was the WBF entertainment?
To him, it was.
Is the movie studio entertainment?
Yeah, but that's doing well
now. Is the restaurant entertainment?
Yeah, because what we do over here, we make money. I don't know what the fuck you do. That was Michael Hayes to the president of the WWF studios one time in a meeting.
What?
We're in a meeting in the conference room, and Vince has the creative people. I think it was like me, Michael, Brian Gewirtz, and the head of WWF movies, and Michael just is so frustrated that we're sitting there having to come up with ideas for movies and shit and says, well, hey, I'll tell you, they were going around asking, and he asked somebody what they did. He goes, hey, I'll tell you what I do. I make money for this company. What the fuck do you do? Doop. And was
Vince in the meeting when he screams that?
Dude, yeah. Vince was in the meeting. Linda was in the meeting, and Vince popped huge. It was priceless because he was right. Michael's sitting there, and we're frustrated because we still have to go produce
do real life
the shit the real life shit that's making the money for the company, and we're sitting in there trying to help this son of a bitch do his job out in Hollywood, and yeah, it was hilarious. I don't know what the fuck you do. I make money for this company. They.
So Vince goes to UPN. Vince goes to UPN and says, I want to start a football league. And they support him. I say, we're in.
They did, yeah.
How does he pitch it? Are you involved or privy to that meeting at all?
No, man. I like I said, I ran from all that shit. I'm hearing the rumblings that everybody else is hearing. I'm hearing the stuff in the hallways. Okay. I am not, I get the meetings every once in a while. I get updates from Vince here and there, but I'm not in those. All right, here's what we're going to do. We've got this TV deal here. We've got nope, not there. And the word in the office is we're going to have our own football division. Nobody in wrestling. We're going to have a completely separate office staff, completely separate everything, football division under the WWF umbrella. And I couldn't get far enough away from it. I would hear it and go, okay, hey, yeah, that's cool. Basil DeVito would walk into my office and show me the football and tell me a story about something that happened with the XFL. And, hey, this is really cool. We're going to do that. And go, hey, that's cool, man. I'll watch one on TV there, by God.
When did you get sucked in?
About 5 days before the very first game. The Thursday or Friday before a week before the first game, I was told that it's all hands on deck, pal. But it wasn't all hands on deck. And that was what was bullshit. It was me.
It was me and Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. What the fuck?
Yeah, and Michael Hayes and Brian Gewirtz. And I'm sitting there thinking, why in the fuck do we, if it's all hands on deck, bring everybody, make everybody come be miserable with us. Why is it only me that has to be miserable?
So let's talk about these press conferences. Did you see any of these initial press conferences when Vince is promising that what happened to my football needs to be more violent, no pansy shit, it's the no fun league? Did you see any of that rehearsed, practiced, or are you just watching it on ESPN like everybody else?
I'm just sitting there watching it after the fact.
It's important to mention here that by 99, WCW's in full-on self-destruction mode, and the WWF's on fire. The average age for the WWE at the time was 23 years old, and 40% of the audience is under the age 17. So the WWF is dominating the coveted advertiser demo of 18 to 34, which, by the way, so does this podcast. Thanks for everyone listening. They're beating the NFL on Monday nights in certain demos, including this male 18 to 34. So that's a big deal when you can beat Monday Night Football for males 18-34. And Vince starts to develop a bit of a reputation as having the Midas touch when it comes to this demographic. And this is also a time where the networks are scrambling a little bit because baseball's business is way down. Ratings are terrible. Ticket sales are terrible. There was a little bit of a shot in the arm, pardon the pun, for Sosa and McGuire in 98. But wrestling is super hot. And Vince is credited with that because he has the, quote, secret for the young viewers. And this whole Canadian Football League thing gets scrapped. So a year out, he announces the XFL. And the basic idea is, well, if we just get a percentage of their audience, we'll be fine. And, of course, that actually happened a year later. But it's not, if you believe the movie, it's not until after the press conference is done that NBC jumps in. Do you remember thinking when NBC got involved and it wasn't UPN, oh shit, this is real.
Well, UPN was still involved. UPN
Yeah.
and Spike were all still involved.
Spike at the time is TNN, but still same company. And they're going to carry kind of the B games, but NBC takes it to another level from UPN.
Well, NBC became 50% partners.
Right.
With us and picking up 50% of the costs, and they were a partner in this deal. So it was much more so than just a broadcast partner in a broadcast deal. It was they were partners in the league. They were part owners of the league.
And there's a lot of confidence in this because of the reputation that NBC has. Who in the company, is there a wrestling person who would have had a heavy influence as far as helping with coaches or personnel or like football operations at all? Or did Vince outsource all of that to NBC? How does that come about as far as you remember?
No, Vince went out and hired somebody that had worked for the NFL. I couldn't tell you their name if my life depended on it.
See, and
but Vince,
that's part of the documentary that frustrates me is they don't ask that. Like, who the fuck is picking football players?
That's because they're not Conrad Thompson.
Well, roll tide on that.
Okay, they don't do the kind of research that you do that has made something to wrestle with the #1 podcast in the world today.
Well, that's a shoot, especially in the wrestling category. More than 2 million downloads in the last 30 days. Not a lot of people abroad are probably familiar with UPN. Can you kind of rank them as a network amongst the major networks at the time?
Well, let's see. You got 1, 2, 3.
CBS
4,
is
5,
number
6.
1. NBC's number 2. ABC's number 3. Fox is number 4.
CW.
That's 5.
Yeah. There's that local affiliate PBS station in Hamburg, Pennsylvania that's probably about number 6. And then there's UPN.
There you go. What does UPN stand for?
The United, I don't remember what the hell, United Paramount Network, something like that. It was United something network.
Nobody fucking remembers.
Here's one from Bobby Blue. What a great question this is. Now that all the billionaires are going to space, is Mr. McMahon going to become a space club billionaire?
Yeah, we're going, I think, in February.
We're
To the moon, Alice.
I love that you're going to be in space booking fucking TV.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. We got to write TV. We got to do creative. So.
Goddamn, pal. They don't have cable up here. We've got to get down.
Ah, shit. Wi-Fi sucks in here.
I thought the Peacock the Peacock app would work better up here. We're in fucking space. Doesn't it all come from a satellite? Jesus.
Well, right there, I can see the damn thing. Anybody got the password?
Here, Bruce, log me in, pal.
Yeah.
So great, dude. Christopher Wheeler wants to know, what was Vince's reaction when Bischoff challenged him to a fight at Slamboree 98?
If you know him, give him a call. We'll just go fight in a garage somewhere. If he really wants to fight, I'll fight him. Goddamn. But he wasn't going to give them a boost.
No, of course not.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we'll go to a parking lot. We'll go to a garage somewhere. It's just you and I walk in. Whoever walks out, walks out.
You know, I know that a lot of times people say, oh, it's not personal, it's just business. And other people say, oh, there's nothing more personal than business. Do you think Vince took all the Bischoff stuff personally, or did he realize, this is just fucking promotion? Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's both, man. It really and truly is. I don't think he took the fight personally at all.
Yeah.
I think he kind of, laughed that off, but it was like, Vince would like to fight. Okay, you want to go fight? Let's go fight.
Paul wants to know, when you would go out to dinner with Vince, or maybe go to a bar with Vince, and someone recognized him and asked for a photo or autograph, would he oblige, or what did that look like?
Yeah, he'd oblige. I mean, Vince's always been nice to people when they come up and ask him for stuff. And, unless, you're busy or you're running and trying to catch a flight, or you've you want to get out of Dodge and you're going somewhere, I think that Vince is always taking time to stop and sign autographs and say hello to people.
A couple other news and notes before we get to the pay-per-view itself. One of which really stuck out to me. This is from Wade Keller. Vince McMahon's usage of a private jet was scrutinized in the Wall Street Journal article last week. Quote, there's the tiny World Wrestling Entertainment, which last year started allowing its CEO, Vince McMahon, to take personal trips on its $20 million company jet for his quote unquote personal safety. He would say, in McMahon's defense of having the plane in general, he does hold booking meetings between Raw and SmackDown and others within his inner circle, and is doing such on commercial flights. That would be very difficult. His time, giving his tight schedule on consecutive days holding TV and pay-per-view events, is extremely valuable, so avoiding the time standing in line at airports seems reasonable. That doesn't excuse it for personal reasons at the expense of stockholders, though, which is basically the gist of the article. Quote, these people most able to afford it themselves, so why are the stockholders subsidizing their leisure time? And the article notes that many other companies larger than WWE do not allow its CEO the use of the company plane for private trips. Most company CEOs are also not known as publicly as McMahon, so quote unquote security may be a defensible issue. It is the same reason used by other CEOs, but none of those are nearly as well known publicly as Vince. What do you make of this? I don't know. This sort of jumped out to me like, who cares? I mean,
but it's also someone making something out of absolutely nothing. And
well, that's my point.
What Vince used the jet for was to go to work.
Right. And that's the gist of this, I guess, is as hardcore wrestling fans listening to this, who amongst us has heard about Vince's famous vacations? Crickets. That shit doesn't happen. The motherfucker wakes up, goes to work, and then takes a 12-minute vampire nap, and he's back to work again. Like, there's no chance that this guy is going to fucking Turks and Caicos every weekend. I know that because I'm trying to chase your ass down to record a podcast, and you're not suntan, my friend.
No, I am not. And it's, that to me, that is one of the most ludicrous things, because again, from the standpoint of Vince doesn't take vacations, and he's taking the jet to work.
Right.
And he fills the jet up with people. Guess what you get to do on the plane? Work. Oh, and you get picked up in limousines. Guess what you do in the limousine ride from the plane to the building?
Work.
There you go. So it's, I can guarantee you, if you were to poll the people that are on the plane who would rather be on a commercial airline and be getting themselves to and from TV and hotels and what have you, that they would probably prefer to be on a commercial flight where they could kind of get away from everything for a minute. But the corporate jet was and still is used to work, to maximize your time. And frankly, don't talk about what's going on in my life and everything today, but I will say this, that the reason I moved to Connecticut was to be able to utilize that perk so that I could see my family.
Hey, let's mention that, because back before you made the move and you were in Houston, just run down what your weekly schedule was like, so our listeners will maybe have a little more appreciation for how difficult it was for you and I to find time to record.
Well, I would, on a normal week, I would leave on a Monday and return on a Wednesday, and then you would go right into meetings that would last till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday and Thursday. Then you would go, actually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Well, hang on now. You said I would leave. What you mean is you would leave your house.
I'd leave my house at, say, 12 o'clock in the afternoon on a Sunday to fly into the town on Sunday night. I'd do TV on Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, I would fly back home. And as soon as you're back home, you're hitting the ground running and you're in constant meetings. And then from there, you meet all the way. And that includes Saturday. I got out of Sunday meetings most of the time because I was traveling.
I'm talking about the times where, because there was a stint there for a couple of months where you wouldn't fly home on Wednesday. You would fly to Connecticut and stay in the hotel and still go to the office on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, fly home on Saturday, spend time with the family, repack, record with me. And then on Sunday at noon, you're back out again. So you had Saturday afternoon and evening and Sunday morning at home. And then the rest of the time living out of a hotel in Connecticut. So when you were like, hey, I think I'm going to move to Connecticut, I'm like, well, fucking A.
Yeah.
Because now the difference is when you guys have to go to TV, you hop on the jet with Vince and you're home and sleep in your own bed every night.
Yes.
Now, of course, the down,
but you know why?
Because you have a 1 a.m. meeting at the office.
Exactly. So, we go from, we go from a meeting on Thursday night and go home, and writers' assistants put everything together so that we have it on the plane to go over on Friday. Yes, I'm there and back, but the lure for me is I get to sleep in my own bed. And
wave at your wife in the morning. That type of deal. Yeah.
But at least I get to see them now.
Well, my favorite thing that's happened recently with you and I is I sent you like a picture of a cocktail at like 11:30 at night. And then you sent back a selfie and you were still at the office. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And you're like, I'm waiting on my 9 o'clock meeting to start. It's 11:30 my time, which is 12:30 your time. And you're like, I'm waiting on my 9 o'clock to start. So your 9 o'clock is going to start at 1 a.m. And,
if you're lucky,
and then when the meeting adjourns at 5 a.m., you are expected to be back in the office at 8 a.m. So run home, get a little cat nap, see you in a couple hours.
Ding, ding.
This is where we are. The wrestling business. Be careful what you ask for.
Yeah. And then I'll send you, I have a window.
Yes.
Okay. I've got an hour and a half here.
Now
here's my window.
Yeah. We started recording this show this morning at 6 a.m. So that's where our window is, but damn it, we're doing our best for you. Sorry about missing in your house last week, but this is where we are. And by the way, things have not exactly gotten easier in a pandemic where a lot of folks can't come into the office, but God damn it, now you live in Stanford, you're right there. So yeah, there you go.
Well, not only that, and again, it's for all the right reasons. There's no one in the office. However, my team comes in, and my team is a small team, but we socially distance. We do all the right things, and gets me out of the house. Now I want out of the house, but it's
the best was
different. So that's why I laugh when someone talks about, Vince is doing something for his personal. Motherfucker, I wish he would do more personal shit.
I could take a break.
Yeah, I mean, he deserves it. So that's laughable to think that Vince is going on these Bahama vacations, taking a corporate jet somewhere. You ask anyone that knows, back in 2005, was Vince just taking off and going on vacation or going on personal trips, is ludicrous.
Yeah.
And to bring that up, and then when they find out how stupid that those people must feel, they must feel like dirt sheet writers every fucking week when they realize the stupid things that they write and say and that come out of their mouth. I had to get something in here. Yeah, that's just ludicrous.
Do you remember
the
1989 movie Batman with Michael Keaton?
Goddamn right.
Well, there's the scene where Bruce Wayne wants to take Kim Basinger to dinner. So Alfred and the staff cook him up a dinner, but he's got this giant dining room with like 40 seats on either side of the table. And he puts her at one head of the table, and then he's at the other end of the table. And they do a gag about pass the salt because it's 40 yards between them or whatever. That to me is what I imagined, like you and Ed Koskey and Heyman were doing with Vince during the pandemic. Where it's like, God damn it, we still got to go to work. And it's you guys in that Batman scene 40 yards away from each other. So everybody's safe, but we got to know what the fuck Otis is doing this Friday. It's just remarkable, the work ethic that happens in this company. And then a report like this comes out where it's like, oh, for personal use. I know Vince has a yacht and his name's Sexy Bitch or whatever it is. I imagine the hours on that motor are similar to my treadmill. They ain't getting used a lot. And then supposedly, if you believe Rick, the rumors and innuendo, as you like to say, he was not supposed to come back and wrestle.
He was not.
And after coming back in November, he's wrestling in January at the Royal Rumble in a street fight against Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Carry me through how that comes about. What was he originally hired to be? Just an on-air television character?
An on-air character. And he was not.
Just TV.
TV. He was not going to wrestle. He was not going to be in the ring. And yeah, a few months later, he's in the ring with the boss. But even that, that had the caveat. It's just going to be a street fight.
It's not a real match.
Yeah, this isn't a real match, man. You don't have to do all your signature stuff. This is a street fight with events. It's a special attraction.
Right.
It's a one-off. Well, next.
So chat me up. In your opinion, do you think Rick was ever going to be satisfied with that Nitro match against Sting being his retirement match?
At the time, because I hadn't been around Rick on a regular basis, I didn't know. I really didn't know. And it was one of those things. He had a great career. It was Ric Flair, and what are we going to do now? And when he came back, like I said, the issue was, come back. We just want you as an authority figure, and we don't see you in the ring at all. And then, yeah, the rest is kind of history. He you can't deny it.
Famous little spot in that Royal Rumble match where there's a traditional camera used, and they take a picture of each other as they're brawling, and it's a camera that the Flair family was using. And years later, Rick had a copy of that sent to him by Vince, framed, and it was one of his more cool memories or pieces of memorabilia. Was Vince kind of known for doing stuff like that? Something that he thought was a moment he shared with the talent, paying special attention to it, having something framed and shipped to him, or just something like a little token of appreciation of a memory or a moment in time?
Yeah, Vince is real good about that. If he hones in on one thing, he knows something means something to somebody. I remember, for example, the Rock being a big Willie Nelson fan and having a guitar, and we used it as a prop. And Rock's birthday was coming up, and Vince, how long did we have? We had not even, I don't think we had a week. And Vince comes to me and says, I need a guitar signed by Willie Nelson for The Rock for his birthday. I'm like, okay. Thumbs up. Good for you. I'll get it for me. And I'm like, oh man, it was crazy, but we actually, Jerry Briscoe helped out tremendously in that regard, and we were able to get to Willie through Billy Gibbons with ZZ Top, and we're able to get a guitar, get it signed, and get it all taken care of. So to answer your question, yes, Vince does do that for people if he knows there's something special there, and it's a special moment. He'll memorialize it.
Wow. I'm reminded that sometimes the rich and successful have a disconnect with reality. Maybe it's fear that a connection to reality might hinder their success. Who knows? Think about it. The part of Vince's brain that wants a signed guitar at a moment's notice also created a paywalled video-on-demand network 5+ years before the rest of his industry.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.